Lester Hayes was a 1980s All-Decade performer, a two-time Super Bowl champion, and a Defensive Player of the Year. But he is not in the Hall of Fame today because of a Stickum substance that was legalized at his time of usage. If you don't know, Stickum is an adhesive substance like glue or tree sap that was used in the NFL to help players in gripping the ball. Stickum was a popular and legal substance in the NFL before it was banned in 1981. Several different players wore the substance, including Hayes' former teammate and Hall of Famer Fred Biletnikoff. When the NFL banned Stickum, they named the rule after one of the league's most notable users, Lester Hayes, who was coming off of an historic season where he had 13 interceptions, which is second in NFL history, and capped it off with a Super Bowl victory. So after 30 years, should Hayes still be penalized for this legalized substance? Let's dive into the Hall of Fame case of Lester Hayes. Lester Hayes was drafted by the Oakland Raiders in the 5th round out of Texas A&M in the 1977 NFL Draft. Hayes would play his entire career for the Raiders and was a critical piece in the Raiders defense that went on to win 2 Super Bowl rings. The most defining season of his career was the 1980 NFL season, when he was named the AP Defensive Player of the Year. He was also named to the Pro Bowl and the first team All-Pro team while winning a Super Bowl ring. Hayes was considered one of the best shutdown quarters in the 1980s. At his time with the Raiders, he would appear in 149 games and record 39 interceptions. His interceptions are tied with Willie Brown as the all-time Raiders interceptions record. But Hayes' career has always been overshadowed by his excessive use of Stickum in a time where Stickum was legal. Like I said before, Stickum was also being used by several different players during that time, including his teammate wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, proving that Stickum did not prevent Biletnikoff from being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And another legendary wide receiver, Jerry Rice, admitted to using Stickum throughout his playing days in an interview in 2015.
I know this might be a little illegal, guys. I just put a little spray, a little Stickum on them, just to make sure that texture is a little sticky.
But in both Jerry Rice's and Fred Biletnikoff's Hall of Fame resumes, they are not being penalized or blemished for wearing Stickum, and both are wide receivers who are paid to catch the ball, which should be a bigger issue for the Hall of Fame committee or the NFL in general than a defensive back. Yet there was so much attention placed on Hayes' use of Stickum because he was wearing it from literally head to toe. Another argument that goes against Hayes' Hall of Fame case is that before Stickum was banned, in his first 4 seasons he had 25 interceptions. After the ban in his next 6 seasons, he only had 14. Most would think that Stickum was the reason for the lack of interceptions, when really it was because of his lockdown coverage. QBs avoided throwing his way after his historic season. As you can see by the Pro Bowl and All-Pro selections after the ban, Hayes kept up his high level of play without Stickum. After the banning of Stickum, Hayes' career led him to be a Pro Bowler in 1981, 82, 83, and 84. He was selected to the second team All-Pro in 1981 through 1984. Hayes was known for his jam off the line coverage and for locking down receivers. And his ability to read opponents led him to be a great ball hawk throughout his career. He was eligible to be in the Hall of Fame since January 1992. Hayes' chances of getting his golden jacket slipped more and more every year. He was a finalist in 2001 through 2004 and dropped to a semifinalist from 2005 through 2010. How does a player named to the second team of the All-Decade team in 1980 not be in the Hall of Fame? Being one of 4 cornerbacks to be named in the All-Decade squad speaks for itself. According to the Pro Football Defensive Back Hall of Fame Monitor, which is a metric designed to estimate a player's chances of making the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Hayes' score of 85.08 ranks him as the 28th rated player to enter the Hall of Fame. Only 2 other players that are eligible to be in the Hall of Fame are not in it, which is Dave Grayson and the Packers' Leroy Butler, while 6 other players ranked below him are in the Hall of Fame. Somebody who compares well to Lester Hayes in today's NFL is Richard Sherman. Both have similar amount of All-Pro selections, the same amount of Pro Bowls, and a similar amount of interceptions. The 1980s Raiders, just like the Legion of Boom Seahawks, were the bullies of their respective conferences. Both Richard Sherman and Lester Hayes don't have the interceptions like other Hall of Fame corners because they were not getting thrown out because of their shutdown ability. Most feel if Richard Sherman retires in 2020 that he will be a Hall of Famer, But if that's the case, Hayes should be inducted right with him. If the reason why Lester Hayes is not in the Hall of Fame is that his name bears in the rule change, or he was part of a Raiders team that bullied most teams, then what is the Hall of Fame for? Isn't it supposed to be the enrichment of the greatest players to ever play professional football? And in 2020, the man once known as the Jedi is still waiting on his Hall of Fame call that will most likely never come, but is definitely deserved. First off, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time on the channel, definitely subscribe, leave a like and a comment on this video if you want more soon. Follow me on Twitter at Q_Hicks3. And I'm out. Peace.